welcome to the Wild
Oh,
Wild West podcast. My name is Richie Riche of the MHRT Network. Of course, I represent the Denver Broncos from the Great White North. Over that away is DZ representing his Los Angeles Chargers. And down below, um, with a compensational mug behind him is Nav man representing his Las Vegas Raiders. Thank you for joining us, everyone, tonight. and we have a great show lined up for everybody. Um, so obviously we're going to be talking about the off season at this point with no football, on the horizon per se. Lots of changes made across all teams. We, have had some cycling in and out of coaches, all that sort of thing. Um, I suspect probably through this week and maybe a little bit into next, those coaching hires and changes will kind of peter out, and we're going to get to kind of the final state coming into the season because we need to start prepping for the draft and evaluations, and you really can't do that unless you kind of know what you want to do and why you want to do it. And those coaches will help inform those decisions. We are going to talk about a bit of a speculatory topic today, and I think it's going to be a great one nonetheless. We're going to talk about three things that we'd each like to have our teams do in the offseason. These are our top three, and just to put something else around it, not necessarily what we think the team will do, but what we want them to do. Um, Now, it could be both, by the way, right? Like, what we want and the team does could be very much, the same thing. Although I will tell you, I guarantee mine are not. Um,
Man,
so,
that tracks.
yeah, I guarantee mine are not. So, DZ, maybe we'll start with you and your Chargers. Curious as to what your top three are.
Well,
Off-season moves.
I mean, it's no secret. I think everybody in the fan base that follows the Chargers knows that their main priority in the offseason, whether via free agency or the draft, needs to be offensive line. I think the Raiders probably share the same sentiment. But this offensive line was horrendous. And I looked it up. Justin wasn't the most sacked, but he was the third most sacked, 54 times last season. They struggled in many areas, but it also doesn't help that your two tackles got hurt early in the year, so I understand that. But at the same, and then heading into this offseason and this next season, they are changing their offensive philosophy, their offensive, I don't want to say identity because Jim is still there and Jim still wants to have that bully mentality. But with McDaniel as this OC, his play designs, his play schemes favors more of a zone style on the offensive side of the ball. And you need guys that can pull, that can get to second level blocks. And usually those are more athletic types at guard and center. So like my ideal would be, sign a vet center, right? And I think everybody and their mother is drooling at the idea of getting Linderbaum, who is, everybody's like saying, hey, the Ravens don't have the money to keep this guy. It sounds like there's rumors that he has a medical thing, and who knows, but he's 25 years old. He's probably going to be the highest paid center, whoever signs him. It sounds like the Chargers, the Raiders, the Giants. Nav, you're on mute, buddy. I don't know if he's talking to me or who, but and I even heard the Titans also.
no, DZ, what I was saying is Linderbaum and another guy.
Yeah, I'm going to mention the other guy. Are you talking about McGovern?
Rasheed Walker.
Oh, okay.
Actually, yeah. As far as offensive linemen in the free agency, probably the ones that's going to get paid the most.
Yeah, you're probably right. And then something I just saw before the show kicked off is the whole Brown's starting offensive line is going to be free agent this offseason, which is
What if they are? Of course
yeah.
they are.
And look, there's some guys. I think who is it? Wyatt Teller. He said, "I'm not coming back." So, hey, he's a good get for
Shit
any
show.
team. But
It's called a shit show.
yeah. So look, I would sign a vet. This is my ideal, right? And this is kind of part of the mix of what we feel for our teams. I would sign a vet center, whether that's Linderbaum or McGovern. But look, there's other teams that are jockeying for it that have money, right? And then I would draft a guard on day 2 of the draft if I could. Now, Chargers kind of in a pickle with only 5 picks. They got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th round. I kind of think that if the player they don't want or somebody's not there in that 1st round, they're going to try to trade back and, garner more picks. Easier said than done. Now, I said this on last week's show. I've talked to Jack Kenna about it. I really want to draft a center, and maybe they can in later rounds, but I don't really want a rookie center starting because rookie centers struggle with pass protection, ID, blitz recognition, things like that, especially when they get into the NFL, unless they have 2 really good guards next to them, which right now we don't. So, the Chargers are kind of now in win now mode, and the window's open for them. But say you look down the hallway, you could see a window kind of starting to slide, right? But it's currently open. But they need to get the O-line fixed. And
I agree with that. I agree with what Ed Winchell just said. That you get a line for Herbert that can stay healthy. It's on.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And then a different scheme for him as well. I know Nav and I can argue about who had the worst line and yada yada. So we're just gonna say both our lines were just pitiful and they were coached pretty poorly as well.
And injured
as well. So I don't want to get in the pissing contest of who had the worst one. We just both know that our O lines were subpar. And the fact for the Chargers that they even got into the playoffs with that offensive line is pretty damn impressive. But yeah.
Thanks, Kona. I love it. Love you, no shit, brother.
And then I'm gonna jump into 2, and 2 is kind of a 2-parter. I didn't know what to really put down, but for 2, I had to pause on it because of I'm not really familiar with what the Chargers are going to be offensively next season. Everybody's like, oh, McDaniel does this and this and this, but they're going to be meshing something. Jim's going to give him the keys, but he's going to be like, hey, man, I still want to keep some of these aspects, going with this offense. So I was saying I'd love to add a boundary alpha wide receiver. And via trade, via whatever, is that going to happen? Probably not. They're probably going to run it back with who they have. Is that a bad thing? No. But, I think every team would love to have that alpha wide receiver, right? I know Richie's not too stoked with Cortland.
Who Tyreek? You need Tyreek? Is that what you're saying?
No, dude. Keep that. Look, that was the hot thing that popped up. And I see fans are like, yeah, but this guy is we don't even know if he's going to be ready to play. His knee is jello. And do you think Jim Harbaugh is going to want that type of guy in his locker room? Probably not. With the history he has and whether he got charged or not, who knows? But yeah, I keep him. He can go back to Kansas City. They love to have criminals in KC.
Yeah, it's weird that Raiders Unleashed just threw that out there. I'm sitting there thinking, I was thinking this earlier when I was just in my own world while the students were taking tests and shit. I'm like, what if the Chargers went out and said, yeah, Tyreek, come on in. And then got something from the Chiefs to give him back to the Chiefs.
oh, then I'd be all over it. But
Yes, you know what I mean.
That's kind of now you're getting into like Madden schemes, but
that's a whole new level where it's like, okay, well, I just want Chris Jones.
Now I know. Oh, I mean, he's still really good. I just don't really. Chris is really good. Chris Jones is really good. He shows up in the playoffs, so I'm not going to knock him. But we have seen his decline. His play decline, like it was super evident this last season. But they didn't get in the playoffs, and he shows up. What's up, Sacktown?
The thing about it is with him, he's like the traditional nose tackle. Once your job is done, you're done. If the play is behind you, you're done. You don't run downfield to try to make a
right.
tackle.
Yeah, he makes a lot of business decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so that was the first part, is this boundary. I'm going to do a second part, and that second part goes into my third and final thing. But the second part is continue building the defensive line. Two of our main, or I wouldn't say main, but two big pieces of that defensive line is Khalil Mack and Odafe Owe are heading into free agency. And, you can see on people's lists, I think Odafe Owe was like ranked number 9 on somebody's list. Top free agents heading into the free agency. And there's a lot of teams that are looking for edge guys, right? And so he's going to garner some interest, and it seems like he's going to want to test free agency. And the Chargers did spend a 5th-round pick to get him into LA from Baltimore. So I got a feeling that they're going to want to bring this guy back. Now for Khalil Mack, I've seen rumors of him going to Tampa Bay, of all things, for a year. Who knows? Who knows what Mack does? But this Minter style that's being taken over by Chris O'Leary really needs 3 decent edges to work. That's how it's worked these last 2 seasons, is 3 decent edges. And the first season they had Bud Dupree, who wasn't that bad the first year. Last season he was pitiful and needs to be cut, and that would save money. So you can draft an interior D lineman early, round 1 or 2. I like our D line coach. Get him some real blue chip type of player on that D line. We've seen teams like the Eagles and who else? The Eagles just popped in my head, but they're like, well, I mean, kind of what the Broncos what they did with their secondary. But you see teams that have a strength, and they just okay, we're just going to add to that strength. And the Chargers D line, I wouldn't say was a strength, but was really good last year. It was underrated, and if you can get a blue chip D tackle on that, that'd be awesome. And yeah, I'm looking at my notes, but to me, run stop means more than sacks. And you get a nice D tackle who can do a little bit of both, that'd be great. And there's some nice guys in this upcoming draft. And then in the free agency, I would add a rotational edge depth, right? Because I don't think Kennard, who is a rookie this year, is going to fit. He just looked like he didn't really look like he was ready for this style of defense. But it's kind of we all want that. Rorschach, we all want this. DZ would be the first one to tell you. Wait, can you put that back up there? Yeah,
we all want that. Can you put that back up there, Richie, please? From Rorschach. Yeah, that one right there. He just said, we don't want to hear it. No, we all want to hear that, because the NFL is the best when the AFC West is the best. It really is. Yeah, I agree. When it's a fight to get in the playoff game, one playoff game is a fight in the AFC West. That's what we want. We want that kind of playing. I think the Patriots would disagree with you, because
kind of how they have that dynasties, like their whole division was absolute dog shit for.
Yeah.
We passed 10 minutes. Okay, good. But and then I'll go in my third one real quick. That kind of piggybacks off of my second is re-sign the free agents on defense that helped this defense these last 2 years become what it was. There's 10 free agents on this defense, starter and rotational depth piece guys. Not all of them you need to bring back, but you can't let them all go, right? You need to keep these guys who brought that identity, and it's a mix of some vets and it's a mix of some young guys.
For sure.
You got Khalil Mack, you got Owe, Denzel Perryman, St. Just, Deshaun Hand. I kind of think they let him walk, and whoever gets him is going to get a solid D lineman. Delshon Phillips, special teams ace. Tony Jefferson, who's become a fan favorite for the Chargers. That's the guy that retired and then became the scout for the Ravens, and then said, you know what, I feel like I could play better than these guys that he was scouting. He was watching film and he's like, my body feels good. I can play better than these guys. Decided to come back and has looked amazing these last couple of seasons. And I'd love to sign. He's 34, but I'd give him another year, man. Give him some money. The guy, he sets the tone, and he's been showing up. He showed up clutch in a lot of games this year. Tito Bonia, I think he leaves. He's a nose tackle from UCLA. Kendall Williamson, safety, and Dean Leonard, another secondary guy. But, I don't think they're going to get all these guys back, but I think a big priority for me and for the Chargers is to bring some of these guys back that help this defense, not let them walk to go to other teams. But that's pretty much my three for the Chargers. Offensive line, continue building that D-line out. Was it the last two Super Bowl winners had monsters on that D-line, right? Who was it? Barmore who was that guy on Seattle? Wrecking Shop. Anybody in the chat? No, that was the New England guys.
Tight end, dude. I was wrecking.
Anyway, the Seattle have some underrated studs on that D line. So
Leonard
why
Williams?
Why not build up the trenches, right? And then kind of something that's not really has to do with these three things, but Daniel Jeremiah, who I kind of respect, he works for NFL Network, and he also works with the Chargers during game days. He has picked the right position, the Chargers draft first round, the last 2 years correctly. And in his mock draft, he had the Chargers drafting tight end Kenyon Sadiq, who a lot of people have had go to the Broncos, because we know the Broncos would love a special playmaker. And that's a puzzling pick to me. But at the same time, if you guys watched this guy's film, if you haven't watched Kenyon Sadiq's film, I recommend it. Go on YouTube after our show, not during the show, and look up Kenyon Sadiq. He's a tight end coming out. This guy looks special. I'm seeing shades of Brock Bowers. I'm seeing shades of like a lot of guys, and he looks like he was built in a lab. And he might be, if he's sitting there at 22, if they decide to stay at 22, they might just go best player available kind of thing. But my choice at 22 would probably be the guard out of Penn State, and I'm not going to pretend like I could pronounce his name. If you guys have seen that guy as well, the guard Olivia, like I said, the guard out of Penn State. I got a feeling after the combine. I think the combine's in a week. This guy that I want,
next Thursday.
The guy that I want, he's probably going to be a top 15 pick. I mean, this guy does not look like your regular offensive lineman. He looks like he looks like a Hulk. He looks, oh my God, he looks, so
a monster.
Whoever gets him.
We were speaking Vikings in the studio.
Yeah, but this is like your he Polynesian.
This is more Sasquatchian, that kind of, yeah.
Yeah, Jerron Reed, Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams. I was mostly talking about Jerron Reed. Thank you, Richie. Yeah. So these dominant.
Don't you send that to him on IG? I had it ready to rock. Wait until he was done. I'll be like, hey, I know who it is.
But these those guys, they're help winning Super Bowls and they're showing up big time. So yeah, man, that's pretty much my 3. That's what I would do. I'm still kind of foggy about the offense, and I'm gonna have to trust their vision and which way they go for weapon wise. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'll go with the Broncos. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Broncos. Yeah.
Richie, if I may. So LA Crash Dog is a retired Marine, and he does a lot of work for what's SaveAWarrior.org. It's a veterans organization, SaveAWarrior.org. If you guys could shout that out and push it across everywhere. And then
have them put it down in the comments, and then we'll just highlight it.
Well, you can't.
No, just put down the website, and then we'll highlight it on the screen. So if somebody replays and watches this, they'll be able to see it.
If you just put SaveAWarrior.org on a banner, that will be amazing.
Okay, there you go. SaveAWarrior.org. There it is.
And Father Tom sent you.
Now, what was this again? What does Save a Warrior do?
Save a Warrior is like Wounded Warrior, except for the fact that they don't keep any money.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I've heard. There you go. Good job, Richie.
Save a Warrior.
Oh, no, that's a SableWarrior.org.
Save a Warrior like Star Wars. Oh, wait.
Wait, is there a dash in there, or is it just all?
No. Save a Warrior, one word.
Okay.
Warrior. SaveAWarrior.org. If you could do that for me, it'd be amazing.
Not an issue. Richie's got it.
That one right there helps folks with every dollar. Every dollar goes to somebody. Every dollar goes to a veteran who needs help. Every single penny.
Isn't the organization, Steve Scalise runs, pretty good?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, they're all worth their weight. They're all worth their weight. No question.
But I have heard of some that take a big portion of the money, right? Because
the administrative stuff and people get paid. They have to get paid and stuff like that. It is what it is, and it's okay. And the more, the better, in my opinion. But SaveAWarrior.org is my buddy LA Crash Dog. Is a retired Marine, a decorated Marine, and that dude. I'm going to tell you right now, if he believes in it, I believe in it.
Good deal.
Okay, so
it's good enough for me, man.
For myself, so yeah, more of PTSD and suicidality. It's more of a protect our own. It's pretty much protect our own. So help us protect our own. Sorry, Richie, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just found it important to make sure that was there.
So, to go on with the Broncos on the same topic, and there's no way my team's doing what I want them to do. Like, let's just call it what it is. By the way, I found another Broncos fan that is basically almost in lockstep with me too, which is fantastic because I was beginning to wonder that they didn't exist. Just one.
Just one.
Just one.
That's probably one I'm gonna have after this show.
Yeah, just one. So, I have just a few general housekeeping items for my general thought on my team. While the Broncos offensive line, generally speaking, over the course of this year, graded out well in all the nonsense stats that people like tracking, when you actually look at what we did, like truly did, you have to start assessing whether or not it was the offensive line or the quarterback that was able to elude getting hit. And those stats are often not tracked properly. Those stats are actually not often tracked in terms of like, did Bo Nix just like avoid getting hit and then was he able to extend the play and then throw the ball down the field and therefore he, the O line didn't get a negative sack stat and, Bo Nix made a good play, right? I think there was quite a bit of that actually this year for the Broncos. And you kind of saw the Broncos crumble a little bit when Jarrett Stidham was there, who doesn't have the same elusiveness as Bo Nix. And then you saw what ended up happening where the O-line just wasn't able to keep the guys out the backfield once you ended up with a better defensive line. We also saw a little bit of that with Bo Nix as well, where he's having to constantly like outthink the pressure that's coming towards him in order to then make the play down the field. And some of that is also because we didn't have a true X or incredible wide receiver to get himself open quick enough. And that all factors into things. So
that's
that
probably
in mind,
why, Richie, that's probably why a lot of early mocks have had the guy Kenyon Sadiq drafted to you guys, mocked to you guys, because what you just said about Bo, there's a couple facets to that. It's either him or he doesn't have an easy out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a tight end wasn't really big. It wasn't that huge of a plan with your team this past season. I think that would be something that would boost that offense.
That should have been a little bit more of a priority.
They tried.
And Davis Webb is being brought in, and the current general consensus is that he and Peyton will be coming up with a game plan, and then you're going to end up with Davis Webb being the one that's primarily calling the plays.
Yep.
And I think that's not necessarily going to be a bad thing because you're going to have Sean Payton there as a backstop. Like, he's not going to allow the game to go to hell in a handbag, for example. Sean Payton just won't allow it. He doesn't have his ego will not allow it. So let's just call it for what it is.
You're right.
I'm sorry. He just won't. The answer is no. But at the same time, I do think that Sean Payton is recognizing that there needs to be an infusion of maybe a different style. And then Sean Payton needs to be working within that new style and calling plays if he needs to kind of break glass in case of fire. So with that in mind, one of the Broncos' biggest needs, in my opinion, is going to be kind of a real angry offensive center. And that needs to be part of our offseason moves this particular offseason. We need like a JPJ kind of aggressive style guy at the center position. You need you need a dude.
Don't you dare.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, right? He's got that it factor to him in terms of I'm going to push you backwards. Yeah, I'm going to push you through a wall and, go in that direction. DZ, you mentioned a couple offensive centers in this year's draft that you're pretty high on. I've been digging into them a little bit more, and I have a couple guys I'm going to keep closer to the chest. I do not want Linderbaum. I do not want Connor McGovern back. They are not suitable. They are not at the level that I need them to be. They just don't fit the mold that I'm talking about. I want one of the more aggressive dudes from the draft on my team. There's a couple big dudes in there. There's a dude that's like 6'4", 320 that I really like the look of in some of those games. I've been just kind of going through those films, but first things first, we need to get Whataburger out of the center position. We need to get Powers out of the way. And then we need to have Wattenberg, actually, I believe, in my opinion, is a fantastic swing backup for the interior of our offensive line. And I actually don't mind Wattenberg. As a player, he's a fantastic, versatile guy that can play center and both guard spots. And that's a very valuable guy to have on your roster. And he's a reasonable starting center in the NFL. He's not amazing, but he's not absolutely dead last awful either. He's kind of somewhere in the middle. And the point is that when you're starting to try to make a Super Bowl run and you would like to get yourself in that position and whatnot, you're going to be going against much better talent on a regular basis. And you cannot allow them to have a straight line run up the middle because your center can't block worth a damn.
You said something, Richie, like about you not wanting Linderbaum or McGovern. Now, out of us three, our three teams up here, your team's probably the only one that could go into next season with a rookie center and do well due to the offensive line play next to him, right?
Correct.
You need solid guards on each side of him,
yes,
especially vets. That could be like
Miners is legit. Miners is a legit guard.
But
he's that guy, right? So
now, depending on if whatever my team does in the free agency, say they go out and get two guards in free agency, I have a sleeper now. Ben Cleveland is on this team, and Ben Cleveland is a starting caliber guard.
Ben Cleveland.
So I'm thinking like they could run it with him and then draft and then get another free agent guard, and then they can go your route, which is get somebody in the draft. Which, by the way, 2 years ago was a good center draft. Last year, not so much, and then this year's a good center draft. There are some dogs in this draft, and like I said, this is Richie's like, hey, this is what I would do. I mean, yeah, man, there's some guys that, solid.
So
yeah, the interior offensive line is going to be stacked all the way through the 4th round.
Dunker, dude.
No question.
Yeah, he's
Iowa, Ohio State, Florida State. I mean, think about where all the huge freaking offensive linemen come from and where they originate from. Out of the Big Ten, UCLA, they've got USC has a massive freaking guard too.
I do not want to see the Raiders getting Linderbaum, by the way.
Well, we're not there yet.
But look, this is what I'm going to give you a reasoning. JPJ wrestled when he was in high school or whatever, or did he do it
his whole life?
Yeah, right. So did Linderbaum.
Right.
You put those two next to each other, that's bad news for D lines. They're moving people in ways that defensive linemen don't.
It's a different thought process, though, isn't it?
They know how to move people. I mean, I was just thinking, you get Linderbaum and JPJ next to each other, that is a force. I mean, they are punking dudes.
Dunker from Iowa, that dude is freaking off the chain. That center from Iowa is freaking stupid.
Yeah.
Bad. He's just a bad boy. He's just unreal. Yeah, I mean, he's an offensive tackle height at center at 340. It's ridiculous. That's unfair.
There's going to be a lot more guys that are going to.
I mean, it's Iowa.
Come out after.
I mean, look at it: Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. I mean, well, Indiana's center staying, I think.
I see a tight end or O lineman from Iowa. I'm like, sold. Thank you. Okay, come on. Like that's who I go after.
But I'll tell you what, there's going to be crazy amount of talent in the interior of the offensive line late in the draft.
We hope.
It's going to be, because there's also a lot of talent at wide receiver and cornerback. So it's like, where the skill positions, you know how that goes. It'll push that stuff out. So I'm just saying. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Sorry. So my number one is I want to use that as a target in the draft, either first or second round, depending on where they're at. I want to go rookie in that position because you want them to develop with the quarterback. Bo Nix is now in his 3rd year here in the league. You want the center to be here for maybe another 2 years with Bo. Bo's now got a couple years so he can start working with the center, so he's not coming off it fresh. And then the center and Bo can really hone in and work on those skills together. and build that long-term relationship, which is low-key one of the more important relationships to have with a quarterback and a center, so that they just have an unspoken language that they can sort of have in terms of altering pass protections and that sort of thing. Peyton Manning and Jeff Saturday is a great example of kind of that relationship that the center and quarterback had. O'Hara and his brother was another example of a tight relationship between O lineman and quarterback as well. Just little things like that kind of matter quite a bit, right? In that center quarterback relationship where
I'm like thinking of other ones.
there's a few others as well, but I mean, really the big one that everyone kind of points back to is really the Jeff Saturday, Peyton Manning kind of thing, right? Like that's just a big deal. That was like, you just knew that was a thing, right? So that's my number one. Ideally, I'd then see Wattenberg move as a swing interior lineman, which is a great problem to have, right? Like he's not a slouch, but he's not a slouch. Like I'm not trying to like completely, slam him and kind of push him aside per se, but I do think that if you want to have a competent team and make it deep into the postseason, you need to really have the ability to push the other team around. And Wattenberg has struggled with that. He also oversells and overbites on his blocks in the middle of the field, which is really hindering his ability to keep and fend off the bigger, stronger, and more technically sound defensive linemen. Again, you saw that later in the playoffs against the Patriots and the Bills. Wattenberg struggled with that when he was playing. And you also saw him have some issues with some of the larger, more technically sound interior linemen throughout the season as well. So it's been a common theme for him. So that's my number one. Will the Broncos do it? Absolutely not, because they hate me. But anyways, that's kind of where I'm thinking what's going to happen.
Sounds
there.
About right.
But
we're
I
all
think
with you. We're all with you on that.
Like no one's going to argue and say yes, having a better offensive line is a bad thing. I'm sorry, you're just stupid for thinking in that way. Next, we mentioned some things in the onset of the show. DZ, I think you were the one that brought it up with Seattle's interior defensive line, skills,
Eagles.
positions, et cetera, Eagles.
Yeah.
We've seen the mold. We've seen what that looks like. We know why it works, and those sorts of things. Now, the Broncos are rolling it back with Vance Joseph. However, I do think that if the Broncos are able to continuously field a top tier defense and have better stats even this year than we did last year, as an example, I think that Vance Joseph will get a serious consideration for a head coaching job next year rather than this year, which is what we were all thinking might happen. With that in mind, I have an interesting one that I'm throwing out there. And this is a common one in Broncos country, and I'm curious to what you guys think about it. The problem that the Broncos have right now is we have Jahdae Barron, our first-round pick from last year, who struggled a little bit, but we have a new secondary coach that is looking to be quite solid. And we think that that's going to help. Likely, I think the Broncos' thought process is that secondary coach is going to turn Barron around and have him, be a true starting caliber corner for us. The challenge right now is where is he going to start? I believe that the Broncos originally thought that Jahdae Barron was better suited for our team as a slot corner.
Yeah.
Except Jaquan McMillan said, "Hold my beer." No.
Well, I think Jaquan McMillan was like, "I'm going into a contract year. I'm about to ball out."
Yeah.
And
he
did.
There's that too. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, "Look, I'm not going to let some rookie, and he's probably going to get paid, and he'll probably be gone. He could get paid with Nav's team next year, probably. Never know."
My thought process is this, though. I think that the Broncos, in my opinion, I think this is what the Broncos should do. I think the Broncos should keep McMillan and bring him back on some kind of worked team deal that makes sense for his skill set. Get him paid, but allow him to dovetail in with the teammates that he's already meshed with and in a city that he's established himself with. And I think that there is a deal to be made there to keep him on the team. Now, this brings me to where I believe my team should go to leverage a relatively deep positional group for us in the cornerback room, and that is Riley Moss. Riley
Yes.
Moss is a predicament for us. He is
It
a
is.
top shelf corner, like legitimate top shelf corner,
But it's tough.
except it's super duper tough having him on the boundary with PS2 on the other side. And the fact that his natural default mode is to grab and get handsy
Yep.
if he gets beat because he's
Now-
athletic, but he's not elite athletic.
But he's still a youngster, bro. He
He
can be
is,
coached
but
like
hear me
that.
out. He is now on year 3 going into year 4. And
Yeah,
the Broncos won't have the money to pay him.
I got you. Bring him on over. We have that money.
So
Bring him on.
well, hold on. This is where it could get interesting. Now, Riley Moss is statistically wise, he's in the top 5 to 7 corners in the league. Stats wise,
Probably.
yeah. Stats wise, top 5 to 7.
Yeah, I would say so.
And like that's legit. Like that's not like
nickel,
that is.
That's our nickel perfect.
No, he is a legit boundary corner. Like he is.
I'm with you, but
yeah.
I mean, surely at his size and speed would be the perfect thing we're missing.
Yep,
you're right, Richie.
Top
Riley
3,
Moss
5.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
They got him at 2, but then there's other guys: Mike Jackson, Tyson Campbell, DJ Turner, Kamari Lassiter, Nixon, Kool-Aid McKinstry. He's up there with passes defended leaders.
Yep.
He had 19, which is
yes
at the tops last season.
Yeah. But this is what I'm saying is that it is undeniable. And the thing, Broncos country doesn't want to admit this, right? Because they've seen a couple penalties and he kept on getting flags thrown at him for like BS reasons and stuff. But the Broncos country doesn't want to admit he is a like top shelf corner, period, in the NFL. Problem is that is going to command a dollar figure that we won't be able to afford, and it doesn't make sense. We need interior defensive linemen, especially bigger dudes that can rush the passer. And that's a position group that we are going to require coming into the 2026 season. And if we hope for Jahdae Barron to kind of fill in that role and maybe draft a young guy to develop, that's probably better suited for our team. My proposal would be to take Riley Moss and trade him in some kind of a straight trade for an interior defensive lineman that can rush the passer. Because you're talking about dudes that are going to be getting paid salary-wise in a similar vein.
I don't know, man. And pass rushing D tackles are getting pretty valuable as of late.
Yes.
I know so is Riley Moss. I mean, his stats back it up. So is cornerback. Yes. That's tough.
There's only 2 players on the Raiders that you would even entertain on that. Adam Butler or Malcolm Kuntz, who can go in the middle. So I'm just saying,
right?
He's probably not going to be. More than likely, he's probably going to be.
So, like you need a rushing interior guy on the Broncos D, and then the only other exception to that I would throw out there is you trade a corner for a wideout. Again, you're talking similar dollar values on the roster.
I would not go there. If I were on your side of things, I would not go there because it's just not available. Unless you're talking Alec Pierce, which is a possession guy. He's not a barn burner, even though every time he catches the ball, it's 18 yards. You know.
Yeah. So I just think there's other options, like some names are getting thrown around, like AJ Brown. Some other names are getting tossed out there as well. Now, I'm not necessarily saying I'm high on.
But you're not going to get AJ Brown for him though, without some compensation on the other side of it. You're not going to get AJ Brown just free and clear.
For a top shelf corner, especially a guy that's like top 3 to 5. I mean, some of the trades that dudes of his caliber have received is like 2 1s and something else.
No. Oh no, it's crazy. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, if I was on your side and wanted to trade off Riley Moss, and what's the best player I could 1-for-1 with him? Probably be a defensive tackle, more than likely, like you said, pushing up the middle. Adam Butler is that dude with the Raiders, but similar dude like that. Chris Jones, somebody in the interior, I think would be your. If you were going to do that, you would have to bolster the defensive line somehow in order to compensate for having that corner gone.
Correct.
That's all.
That's exactly where I'm at. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. Right, which is this is what a conversation I had with another Broncos fan just via text actually, which is you can only go about this 2 ways. If you take away a guy of Riley Moss's caliber, which is up there, the only way you can compensate for that is with a pass rushing D tackle or a defensive end.
4-man rush.
Well, no, but the thing is, you get up the middle and you get to the quarterback to prevent the passes from getting to the corners, and that's really your only hope, right? Is because
it's not about
Riley
pressures.
Yes, exactly. You rush the passer, force him into throws that he doesn't want to make, and you put yourself in that position. So that's kind of where my general thought process is, which is Moss is a guy that we're not going to be able to afford as a team. And if we don't trade him for capital or player, we're probably going to be shooting ourselves in the foot because we won't be able to pay him with a PS2 salary and the other ones and Bo Nix coming up too, right? Like we have to be realistic in terms of what that's going to look like. So that's my number 2. My number 3.
Real quick, just for the chat, because some of my guys are in there. Bourbon County Raider, I get you. Yeah, I'm with you. It's just not my turn yet. Just not my turn. I'm with you. I got you, 100%, bro.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was at, Robert, as well. By the way, and you may or may not follow me regularly or know my general mantra, but like there is no bigger pounder on the table for a rushing, bolstered, angry defensive line than me. Like that's been my thing. Like Nav's heard me in the chat more often than it's like I'm like D-line, my man. D-line.
Let's go. Let's get that D-line going. Let's get upfield. Let's go. Yeah. Let's get the pressures. Don't care about the sacks. Just need the pressures.
Exactly.
Sacks come with pressures.
Eventually they do, and again, if you have the Raptor speed style on the edges with the outside linebackers that can help seal those edges as well. One way or another, the quarterback will either go down or be forced to doing something real stupid real quick, and that's what you're looking for, right? So that's that. Now my number 3. And this was actually a tough one for me. So I'm going to give you my number 4 first and not talk about it really, just blurt it out. My number 4 is a tight end. Cade Otton from the Bucks was a guy that I really like. But my number 3, my real number 3, and this is where I want the Broncos to go pretty hard and heavy in, is we need a big boy running game. We had a major problem with our running back room this year. JK was phenomenal. He really was. He was awesome. But the dude can't stay on field and stay healthy for an entire season. So you can't rely on him being your 1A. RJ Harvey, while we drafted him and he's a decent pick for us, is also not a guy that I'm overly confident with as being a lead back on my team, which then leads me to basically saying, I want my team to go super heavy and hard towards Kenneth Walker of the Seahawks. I like his running style. He's a well-rounded running back. His style fits Sean Payton and likely Davis Webb's offensive style. I'm proposing that we basically cut bait with everybody else, but I also want to bring back JK if he's willing to come back on a really, really team-friendly deal and relinquish himself to being RB3 for the sole purpose of being like the guy that just comes in. And let's put it this way, if you have JK as your running back 3 and he's the guy that's closing out games to grind out stuff, you have a legitimate shot at getting like 7 on those, like, gee, wouldn't it be nice sort of play. Right? He's that good of a running back. And that to me gives us I'd like to see Walker as our running back 1. I'd like to see RJ Harvey as our running back 2, and then JK as our RB3. And I want us to draft a guy between the 3rd and the 5th rounds in this NFL draft.
Wow,
That's what you're hoping, right?
That's just number 4.
I know
I'm on number 4. We are only discussing 3.
I agree with Matt Marinovich. I don't think Walker goes anywhere. I think the only big name running back that gets signed in the free agency is Breece Hall. I think he gets.
I don't think so either. I mean, they can franchise tag him too. They have nobody else to do that to.
That is true, but I think he wants to help out.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the Jets doing?
There's a lot of good running backs hitting free agency, but the thing is almost all of them look like they could possibly be re-signed. Like they're not going to.
Yes,
I mean,
pretty much all but a couple.
Yeah, but I mean, I could see why anybody would love Walker. I mean, the dude's just freaking beast. He's a stud.
Crazy part is that freaking David Montgomery is going to be a free agent.
I didn't even think about him.
I mean, come on, bro.
I'm not sure David Montgomery.
But the only reason why I like Walker is that he's got the pass catching and running capability. He's also got he's the well-rounded guy, right? And Sean Payton and Davis Webb kind of come from a similar offensive philosophy where that's an important piece. And sorry, I'm just calling the running back as being a big priority for me here. There is a running back that I did some initial digging into. I'm just trying to get his name. Katron Allen from Penn State.
Yeah.
I was digging into his tape yesterday or day before. That is the style of running back I like.
Did you see the one where he wiped out his own tight end, then wiped out the linebacker, then wiped out the middle linebacker right after that?
Yes.
And set them down.
Yes.
And then took it to the house.
Yes. So a lot of people didn't know who a running back by the name of CJ Anderson was coming out of the draft either.
That dude.
And that guy.
I hated that guy. I hated him.
He was that damn good though. Like he was that damn good. So he
wore us out.
Watch his shoulders and his pad level as he runs. I'm talking CJ Anderson right now, and when he ran, his legs moved, but his shoulders kind of stayed level.
That's
So
Barry Sanders.
yeah, exactly. And what that allows you to do is it allows you as a running back when your legs or feet or knees or whatever kind of get tripped up or what have you, you can keep yourself balanced, right? So you're always in this like really consistent center of gravity, which makes you very difficult to bring down. K-Tron has that same level pad level as he's running. If you actually watch him, he's got this like real steadiness to him as he runs. And that is one of the traits that I look for in a running back because I've seen that running style carry through to the NFL and have real solid success. And so he's a guy that I'm quite high on.
It's indicative of like Barry Sanders, because Barry Sanders said this. He goes, when I was about to fall down on my own, I would look for a dude to hit on the side that I was getting ready to fall, and that would bring me back up, and all I had to do was bring my legs up and just start moving.
Right.
He would actually use the defenders as a way to stay on his feet. You know,
so he doesn't actually hit the ground, so he can keep on going after the fact. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he's like, I'm falling to the left, and I'm probably going to go down. Oh, look, there's a linebacker over there. Let me bounce off him and get myself straight again. You know, that's an art form for a running back. Marcus Allen's one of them. Terrell Davis was another one that did the same kind of crap.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, look at Amari and Hampton does that shit. He really does. He pushes upfield and he starts to go down and he aims at somebody.
He does. I'm still like, I didn't watch much of college. I didn't watch him in college, but I watched his highlights and I watched him last season.
DZ, your team was cursed this year. They should have been way
cursed
better.
In general. They're cursed in general. You're just being nice.
Been way better.
Oh, I agree. The AFC was weird this year. I mean, I as a Chargers fan, even Broncos fan, Texans fan, Bills fans should all be pissed because it was like a golden opportunity this season. You know, the Ravens weren't in it. The Chiefs weren't in it.
Broncos should be pissed for sure.
Because the Bengals. I'm tired of putting the Bengals in this conversation.
Bengals, fuck the Bengals. Look, I'm sorry. Dang it. It was my first F-bomb. That was my first one.
But this was a special season.
They can go do whatever. Burrow needs to figure out how to not get his freaking this hangnail. You know what I mean? Yeah. Every single game. So you can burrow this, burrow that. I don't care. Burrow it in the ground. Because when you put that dude in the same conversation as these dudes battling 16 games, Josh Allen, freaking Lamar, I mean, Sam Darnold, all these dudes getting their asses handed to them all year long, but they don't sit ever.
Oh, you said Lamar. You shouldn't have put him in there. He takes himself out of game.
Still, that this was an outlier for him, in my opinion. But I mean, I think the Ravens are going to go south after this. I mean, really, John Harbaugh, come on. I mean, it
was interesting that they pivoted from Harbaugh
and gone in the same season is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like they're running it back with it's a weird situation in Ravens. I do like the staff they're building, but it is like I don't see the huge difference between John Harbaugh and Jesse Minter. I don't know.
I do. And this is Minter, is going to almost immediately correct the defensive ship. Yep. Because he refuses to let that fail. And
the Ravens have sucked on defense.
Well, hold on. No, but hold on here.
Sucks.
No, but hold on here.
For them because that's what they've known.
Wait. What nobody is thinking through here is the Ravens want to get back to what they were known for, which was
Right.
we are going to wipe the floor on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to put
Yes.
you in your
That's
place.
my point.
But no, but that's not the only thing why they brought Minter in for. Lamar Jackson has largely well underperformed where he should be as an NFL quarterback, given the accolades and the vaunted,
Right.
I mean,
all
he's
the
won how many
nonsense that's been
MVPs?
getting thrown his way.
3,
Right, sure.
2,
You can have whiz bang and flash, whatever it is, but by
2.
and large, he has crumbled when it matters most, and he's starting to get hurt. So ultimately, I think what the Ravens front office is doing with Minter is they're saying, we know the defense is going to be completely fine.
Right.
Minter will correct that ship.
Right.
Now, Lamar has no excuses. He
Right.
he and Harbaugh got kind of in a bit of a headbutting
Yeah.
match. So guess what? You got a brand new head coach who's going to get that defense humming. You're going to have an offensive play caller that's going to put you in the right spot. Now put up or shut up.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what the position they're putting Lamar in.
Richie,
Probably.
I completely agree with you on that. Here's the thing. The difference between Lamar and Josh Allen is this. Josh Allen, till this year, Josh Allen has not been the reason that they've lost playoff games.
Correct.
He has killed it. This year,
Right.
this was his worst performance in the playoffs. There's no question. Yes. Josh Allen was not good in that one.
I mean, outside of Josh Allen, it was Cook, it was running back, and that was pretty much their whole offense. And you could sprinkle some of their tight end play in there, but
their number one receiver is a dude named Shakir.
Yeah, right.
For crying out loud.
Yeah, they've got to do a better job to surround Josh Allen with some better talent.
But then, didn't somebody say they just got somebody from the Bills?
You guys just got somebody from the Bills, right? Coach.
Or
was it Broncos did?
Broncos got the coach, the wide receiver coach.
Yes.
Okay.
What are the Bills doing, dude? The wide receiver coach, Shakir is Shakir in and of himself because of Kirk, for crying out loud. He didn't have anybody else.
He also developed a couple other slot guys on that team as well.
Yes.
So Isaiah McKenzie, Isaiah McKenzie's another guy that a lot of people don't remember, but he was with the Denver Broncos. He was called the human pinball machine, and he was a electric return guy in college.
Yeah.
The Broncos had him for a season and then let him go. The Bills picked him up, and he was like a staple wide receiver for them up until like a year or two ago. And I'm pretty sure that's the wide receiver coach that really like elevated McKenzie's game. And there's been a few other dudes, by the way, that the Bills wide receiver coach has, we'll call it, borrowed from the Broncos, as it were, and elevated them to be, quite competent NFL receivers and succeed. Including another guy that I really like, Jalen Virgil. I saw him. I think he was with the Bills, or if I'm not mistaken, for a period of time, or maybe the Lions. Maybe I'm getting my teams mixed up. But he was another guy that came from the Broncos and then was with a different team and really showed out. But that guy's developed. Basically, he's taken mediocre talent and turned them into elevated wide receiver talent, basically allowed them to outplay where they should have been. Yeah, exactly.
Whatever Pro Bowler is these days.
Yeah. He's
1,000-yard receiver is worth thinking about in this league.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I do have a question for you, Rich, before it's my turn on what the Raiders need to do here. My question is, Michael Mayer, Riley, and Michael Mayer, is that an even swap?
Ooh.
No.
Oh.
No?
No.
Hang on.
Positional value matters.
Well, that's true, but you need a tight end, and this guy can do both things. they would love to have a cornerback, and they'd still have to pay him. I mean, I guess you got that one. And Mayer's still on his rookie contract.
Yes.
I mean, so is Riley, though,
No,
right?
no, this is it for him.
Okay.
This is it.
Dude, I don't know, man. That's a pretty slick trade, in my opinion.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying that it's a thing.
Right.
I'm just saying you need and we need, and just saying. I mean, we have Brock Bowers. I mean, he can do everything as a tight end. We're not really worried about it.
So, Nav, let me put it this way. If you had Mayer under contract for this year, do you think you're getting 2 1s for him?
No.
Do you think
you're not
that any... No, but for a... Well, why would... I guess I'll put it this way.
No, he's under contract. Do not get me wrong.
Right.
He's under contract.
Yeah.
But
this is my... Okay, so he's under contract and Riley Moss is under contract. Riley Moss is between a top 3 and top 5 cornerback statistically and based on like actual play on field when you actually look at what's happened in the last 2 seasons. He is, so it's not like a flash in the pan. Over the last 2 seasons, he has consistently done the same thing. So Riley Moss is an ascending corner who has proven it 2 years straight. There is no reason to think he's not going to do the same thing next year. Now, so you're talking a positional value that is typically quite high in the NFL with a lockdown or at least a completely competent corner. And he's getting targeted a truckload and done the same and done that.
But the thing is, it's a need for a need. You were the one that mentioned that Riley Moss could be dealt.
Correct. But my point is that you're just looking narrowly at the Raiders. My point is looking at 31 other teams.
No, I'm not narrowly looking at anything.
Okay. Well, my point is that a corner. No, I would never make that trade, and for the simple fact of
me either.
Positional value, the corner is going to be ranked higher positionally from a value perspective, substantially than a tight end. It's just a fact. Unless you have a Rob Gronkowski. Like if you have Rob Gronkowski or Brock Bowers, that's a different can of worms.
Until the Broncos have a high-end tight end, they're not going to win a Super Bowl.
Until the Broncos?
Ask Shannon Sharp.
Well, that's why everybody was mocking Kenyon Sadiq to them. Like, I don't think you guys have watched this film, because then if you did, you'd be like, that's who I want on my team. And it seems like I know what Richie said today was like, oh, this is what I would do. But if you look at the Broncos right now, and from an outsider looking in, they could just go in free agency and get a tight end. But if you have the option of getting a guy who's looked at, people are saying could be better than Nav's tight end, Brock Bowers and Kenyon Sadiq, like, why would they? And that's something that their offense seemed to be lacking, was an easy kind of go. And this guy supposedly can do it both, right? But I don't know.
On the Raiders, Riley Moss would be the number 1 corner.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, most teams would be.
Stokes would be the number 2.
Right.
Yeah. So Jay, here, let me put it to you this way. Riley Moss, in terms of total number of targets, is in the upper tier, if not in that like top 3 targeted corners, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember the stats right.
Well, they target him because of
who's on the other side.
Yeah.
Right. But this is what my point is, though. So let's couple 2 things together with Riley Moss. Number 1, he is highly, highly targeted as a cornerback because of Pat Surtain on the other side of the ball, right?
You don't want to play with fire against Pat.
Yeah,
Raiders reports in the house. Jay Weaver's in the house. Raiders reports in the house. Really? Now I'm being judged. There's no question I'm being judged.
But here's the other part of that. The other half of that, Jay, is Riley Moss is targeted almost the most out of any other dude in the cornerback spot on the other side of Pat Surtain. And yet he is still
on one side. That's obvious.
Correct. but this is what everyone isn't really factoring in when they make a comment like, "Is he really a number one on another team or whatever?"
Oh
The
no,
dude is still in the
not me.
top 3 or 5, between top 3 to top 5 in the entire NFL after being targeted within the top 3 of the NFL. Like, that
But
is a
why?
massive stat.
But why is that?
No,
Why
but
is that?
no, but
Why is that?
that is
Why is
irrelevant.
that? Wait, I'm just asking. Why is it that your cornerback one is not targeted? That's because he's shut down corner. I get it. Hold on. Second question. He's being targeted because he's the number 2 cornerback. I'm pretty sure Riley would like to be a number 1 somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Just say.
Yeah.
No, but
agree.
that's what my point is. But my point is, dude is targeted in the top 3. Dude is playing within the top 5 or 3. And therefore, if he is ranking that high after being targeted that much, he is absolutely a number 1 cornerback on literally almost every other team. Like, I'm
Right.
sorry. It's just like, it is.
And that means you said correctly what you need on your defense.
Had me
You
forgetting
need
it for a second. I
pressure.
thought Riley was a free agent, but he's not. So
No,
it's
he's not.
pure trade.
Richie, you saying what you just said just means that you definitely need what you said. The defensive
I
line
agree.
that can get upfield to
I
get
agree.
off these, because that's a lot of targets. That's a
Mhm.
hell of a lot of targets on your corners. You know, you need defensive line all day long. That's what you need. Like interior defense.
Sorry, real quick on this. That's not true. We've seen him cover the number 1 wideout on the opponent's team more than
I've
once.
seen it too.
More than once, actually.
And he's
in fact,
here's the thing, he's handsy though. He's very handsy.
Yeah, he's you know, there's laws against being that handsy. But
There's
yes,
laws. Yeah. Not in the United States though. In Canada, maybe. But
okay. But but no, I mean, I'm sorry. I've seen him cover number 1 wideouts on a regular basis, and he's handled them just fine. Like, that's what I'm trying to say, is that the dude is a legit number one cornerback at the NFL level. It just is, and that's fine. But the thing is, the Broncos won't be able to bring him back because of his stats and the fact that he's done it 2 years in a row. There's no reason to think he's not going to do it a third. He's proven himself at this point. The Broncos can't afford. The Broncos cannot afford 2 $20 million corners. They just can't.
No,
So
I agree. But the thing about
so
it is,
what it is.
Here's what I'm saying is, Michael Mayer does several things for the Raiders. Brock Bowers is on the other side. Otherwise, Mayers would be our premier tight end, which is similar to the back end of your defense with those two guys. So Mayer would be the dude's hands. He catches everything when the opportunity arises, right? But he also blasts dudes in the run.
Yep.
Now Brock also does that. So we could, if we get a top shelf corner like Riley Moss, I think we could live without Mike Mayer if needed. I mean, but it'd be a 1-for-1. It would not be, we're not giving you anything for him. You can talk corners are worth more than tight ends all you want, but you have a need, we have a need. That's the only point I was trying to make.
And that's fair. I just wouldn't make that trade because I think there'd be another team that would be willing to either trade for someone else that we would need a little bit more than that.
But why would you? But why would
you? And I would never trade to a divisional opponent a player of that caliber. It's just
right. But why would
that's just suicide? Yeah, that's suicide.
To me, there's no tight end that it would be available in the league that's even thought of in that conversation.
Sure, I think that's probably fair.
So
that's probably fair.
If I may, Mitch, are you still in the building? Shoot shoot it on the chat right quick. I just want to tell you something right quick. Mitch, Raiders report is out of Dallas. They're a huge company. They have different stuff like that. One of the guys that kind of got me into doing the content creating stuff, and I just want to give him a shot saying thank you, man. Appreciate you coming in. Big time content creator for the Raiders, and everybody in here pretty much knows who in the hell he is if they're Raider fans. So
I've actually seen a bunch of his stuff, so I know who he is too. So that's fantastic
Mitch,
to see him in here.
Mitch, love you, no shit. Thanks for dropping in here, man. I hadn't had my turn yet, and probably
it's your turn now.
Well, I'm probably going to disappoint him because I know he has a different thought process than me on this. So here's the thing for the Raiders. One, last I checked, we do not have an offensive line coach. We still do not have that. So, hot take, it's going to be John Benton. And the only way we do that from the Seahawks is we have to name him the assistant offensive coordinator to make that happen in order to laterally move him to be the O-line coordinator. Because in this day and age in the NFL, you can't laterally move without a team saying, nope. It's just a matter of how hardcore Kubiak's going to be about that. Do we have to have an O-line coach? Absolutely. But until that, all this is speculation. Everything else I'm going to say from this point is pure speculation. So let's just say we do not have an O-line coach, which we don't. Okay, so first to the Broncos, where did Davis Webb go and Vance go? Nowhere. Mentor, gone. The Broncos have kept their coaching staff together. So that I will get this paper and I will throw that away right now because I just wanted to tell you guys not many teams that are playoff teams can hold their team together. And that's saying a lot to Sean Payton, who I cannot stand. I cannot stand him from an arrogant standpoint. I can't stand that dude, period, at all. I mean, one Super Bowl, come on. You had Drew Brees, come on. Get the hell out of here. But that dude can hold that team together and the coaching staff together. That's huge. That's huge for you, Rich. I just want you to know that from me, a Raider fan.
Yeah.
So I thought about it relatively hard about the three things the Raiders would need in free agency. Let's just say in free agency. I'm not even going to talk about the draft so much because I think O-line with all the receivers, corners, linebackers, and all the stuff that are going to be available in the first, I don't think O-line needs to be addressed too awful early, but I think we need to figure out the D-line. So let's talk about our needs is a nickel corner. We definitely need a nickel corner. Okay, so a nickel corner, I looked at it and was kicking it around in free agency, and I'm sitting there going, okay, let's see, how many freaking books do I need here? Mike Hill. He's 5'8". He's done very well. Just can't seem to stay healthy, but he's a 80.9 PFF, 91.7 against the run, runs a 4.55 40. I mean, he's injury concerns are there. Not probably the best call, but about $5 million for 2 years worth shot. I mean, I'm with that. And then here's the thing, and this is going to piss a lot of people off. Trevon Diggs. Trevon Diggs is not Stephon Diggs. This dude's a defensive player. Okay, you guys know that. Dallas, right? Let me tell you something about this dude. 6'1", 205, 20 picks, and 20 solo tackles. And 201 solo tackles in 6 years. I mean, come on, man. 20 picks, 201 solos in 6 years. Really? How are you not interested in that dude as a free agent? Free of any contract at this point, none. You just, at the right price, why not? So, injury concerns? Yes. The Diggs family apparently has injury concerns. But the thing about it is, you get them on a 2-year deal, say $5 million a year. And there's our cornerback 1. Okay? Just saying, not interested. I'm really not interested, to be honest with you. But if you're going to get a dude, that's the dude. He can be a nickel. He can be your cornerback 1. He can be whatever. The dude is a ball hawk. All right. Some other thought was D-line and O-line for number 2 and number 3, right? So let's talk about D-line. You're not going to like this. John Franklin Myers. That's definitely it. If it ain't there in free agency, then I got really nothing else other than Calais Campbell. I mean, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure any of it's worth it. Now you look
JFM
at the O-line.
is.
What's that?
JFM is worth it. He is a good, and I mean like a fantastic player.
I'm telling you, but that's a takeaway. So it's one of those deals, right? So Linderbaum, dude, he's 6'2", 296. He's got 10 holding penalties in 4 years, which isn't terrible. Good, bad, we don't know. Is he aggressive enough? 19 total penalties accepted in 4 years, not bad at all. 66 games started and 66 games played. That to me is a bigger deal than any of the rest. Is that he's played every single game in his career over 4 years. Every single game. That's a bigger deal for me, for Linderbaum.
Yeah.
However, he gets beat on the run big time. The dude cannot run block. Okay? Not sure it's enough for me for a 20 mil plus for a center, because that's what it's going to be, 20 mil plus. Rasheed Walker's going to be pretty much the similar out of Green Bay. Pretty much similar O-tackle. He's a center hybrid type guy. But 6'6", 324, I don't think I want him as a center. So here's my thing. JPJ on a rookie deal and rebuild and progress makes more sense. I mean, there's no reason to spend that kind of money on interior offensive linemen when you're rebuilding stuff. When we also have Rogers, Grant, that we don't know much about, Lockie Tossi, Pegues, all these other guys, we're going to learn a lot more about these dudes, whether they're ready or not ready. I think any Raider fan right now that tells me we need to go to Super Bowl next year, I don't want to hear that shit. Because when you make these kind of moves, these are franchise-changing moves. A 20 mil a year center when you already have a dude that is a Hemingway winner, or Remington winner as a center on a rookie contract, and you're going to spend that kind of money on this dude when you're trying to rebuild a franchise, even though, yes, $98 million in salary cap, which is fixing to be $118 million when the cap goes up, and then also going to be even more than that as we start liquidating these one-year deals that are going to happen come March 11th, right? So it's going to be even more than that. But you don't just spend it frivolous. You know, when you already kind of have that kind of talent in the building, you don't buy it, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so the third one. That was interior O-line, right? Interior D-line. Okay. Yeah, I said Franklin Myers. So, yeah. The thing about it is this. What it really comes down to with us is, okay, everybody's pretty sure. We're pretty sure that Mendoza is going to be our quarterback, right? If that's the case, we got to have a dude in the building, a quarterback in the building that can show him a little bit what the NFL is about. And we can't have an asshole in there. You know what I mean? Can't have, don't want to say Jameis Winston type of attitude, you know what I mean? Or some, you know what I mean? Like, got to have a certain dude. AOC, yes, he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he has the experience of getting drafted to a team and going through coaches like people go through underwear. So I think that's not a terrible mentor for Mendoza, but he's not going to have the kind of firepower to say, here's how you play quarterback. So there's going to have to be a dude. You have to bring a dude in there. Somebody. Flacco. Somebody. Anybody that wants to be interested that is an accomplished quarterback that will help Mendoza a bit. Because I will tell you what, with DZ, he don't have a whole lot of pain on his offensive line, to be honest with you. He lost the two biggest dudes in consecutive weeks with Slater and freaking Alt. That's different. You know what I mean? And I don't think our offensive line is going to be that bad. I think our focus needs in the offseason to stay on the defense for the most part, with the exception of maybe a guard. I would like to see a guard get pulled in there, and that could happen. And by the way we're looking at it, an offensive guard, top tier could go in the third. And we have 3 fourth-round picks with a comp pick in the fourth. We could pick up multiple offensive linemen there. So I think we pay more attention to the defense in free agency than we pay to the offensive line. Bottom line. And if we wanted to get a complimentary running back, let's see. And the thing is, if we go out and get wide receiver Alec Pierce, all he is a possession. He's a possession receiver. He's not a touchdown guy. He gets 18 every time he touches it, but he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. So, but if you look at this, where'd it go? Hold on. I had running back in here. Oh, I know what I wanted. Okay, Kenneth Walker. I think they'll keep him. Brees Hall, they'll franchise him. Travis Etienne is going to be available. and I think it was 1,000-yard rusher last year. And I think he would be a compliment to Genty, So, and it wouldn't be big money either. So I can see all those things happening. The thing about it is, until we have an offensive line coach, we just don't know. That's the truth. That is really the truth. Because we're not going to know how important everything is until we get everybody in the building, coach-wise. That's the unfortunate part of having to wait for your head coach to win a Super Bowl. That's what it comes down to. And I'll be right back.
So this is an interesting comment as we near the end of the show here. Biggie, we actually spoke about the Cleveland Browns offensive line earlier in the show. If we read everything correct, I believe we came to the conclusion that we think that all of their offensive linemen are actually free agents this year, to some varying degree, whether it's an unrestricted free agent or just free agent. I think we worked it out where we thought all of them were free agents this year. And yeah, I mean, the left guard could be an interesting pickup, for example. For any team, there's a number of teams that really have a need for a left guard on their team, or a guard on their team at least. And I think, yeah, the Cleveland Browns have a good one that's wanting out.
Yes.
Likely, obviously, because he's looking for a team that he can move to try to get a ring on that finger, as it were. Now, no offense, Nav, I think that the problem that your team has is that you need to start stacking bricks for the next few years to kind of get yourself to those next steps. I think in maybe a year, maybe 2 years, probably, you guys will start being legitimately competitive so long as you make good decisions on your team. And that could be great. I just don't know if the guy there from Cleveland is willing to tough it out for 2 seasons, or if he would much rather prefer to be like the last piece on a team that is already competitive to give himself the best shot maybe in the short term. Because, these guys that are nearing kind of the latter part of their career know full well that, they're nearing borrowed time at this point at the NFL, when they're when they're at the certain age there, just because they know that they're one injury away from potentially not being able to play again. So I think that's
Right.
I think that's a fair comment to make for some of these older guys. And, that's where a lot of fanalists and fans and stuff don't quite understand. It's like, why did that old free agent go to that team for that, little money, for example? And it's like, well, because that dude realizes that if he takes a lesser deal at the back part of his career, that, there's a legitimate shot that he could end up with a ring, for example. And that's really what it comes down to. And then there's other guys that say, I don't care about the jewelry, because I've just kind of come to grips with the fact that I'm not going to have the jewelry, but I am going to be trying to aim.
Miles Garrett.
It's all about the green,
Miles Garrett,
so that he can
perfect example.
exactly. Yes, exactly. So, anyways, it's an interesting difference in terms of mindset and all that sort of stuff, right? So,
first of all, hey, in the chat, Raiders fans, this is not my channel, okay? I put you up as you go, but look, not my channel. Jansen, not my channel, brother. I'm just saying. This is I'm a guest here. Okay, I can't put up there whatever I want to put up there. I don't know, why do I bother? I'm not sure what you mean by that. We don't need old players or young players that have prepaid membership cards to protocol, tent, or IR. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I think he's kind of referring to the fact that you don't want to get old guys that are basically coming in that are, that basically have a membership to the local hospital to make sure that they get the fast track line to get to see the doctor, right? That's what I took from it, at least.
Well, I guess, Richie, everybody here needs to understand this. So when we go to do this show, the parameters are set what would you do in free
Mhm.
agency if you had it,
Mhm.
like right now, right?
Mhm.
We have parameters to go with, and we stick with those parameters. And it's a structured show, and that's what we do. So what we're saying is, here's what we have right now. We don't know what that's going to be come March 11th, though. March
Yeah, we
11th.
have. Yeah, I mean, the answers on this show could completely change come March 12th.
Yeah,
You know what I
no
mean? Like
question.
completely change. And
Well, and the Raiders need an offensive line coach before we can even talk about offensive linemen that are going to get picked up in
yeah,
free agency. I'm just saying.
yeah, 100%, 100%. So, um, I think that the Raiders right now, you got a running back in Genty who started to have some flashes here and there as the season went on. So I think that's
Yeah.
a fair statement to make. Um, I think you backfill a couple of those offensive line positions on your team,
Yep.
bolster that out. Um, I do wonder what your head coach is going to do with some of the dudes that you got on your offensive line. I'm concerned that you may have an ego stepping in there a little bit in terms of the offensive side of the ball, because a lot of these coaches are like, "Oh, don't worry, I can fix him," as an example, right? Like
Yeah. True.
it's you know what I mean. It's a common thing, and like 60 to 70% of the time, the answer to that comment is no,
Yeah.
no, you can't.
Right.
And so it'll be an interesting experiment actually with your team to see, for example, um, JPJ had a few flashes, but then by and large, I would argue that if you're looking at it as just a straight assessment, he hasn't, wowed per se overall. And that's in large part, I think, because he's moved all over the place, right? They moved him to guard, they moved him to center, they moved him to guard, and then they benched him for a little bit there, right? And it was like it didn't make any sense from my perspective, by the way,
Right.
to bench like the best center in the draft uh, for
Right.
no real reason that I could see at all, other than the fact that he was vocal and said, "Dude, you can't, you suck as a coach. Stop it." Um,
Yeah. That's
and
pretty much what it
and
was.
yeah, and so, anyways, I think that there's more talent on the Raiders than your team gets credit for. But then I also think, to your point, which I think is actually probably more valid today than ever, is one, you have a bunch of new coaches, and number two, you haven't fully built out your coaching staff yet. Once you kind of get all the guys in the building, and once you start formalizing your offensive plan in terms of what you're going to look like or what you're aiming for on the offensive side of the ball, that will formulate where you're going to go going forward. If you get a guy that likes the power and maybe inside zone combo, which is a common one, then you need a certain type of O lineman in order to play that sort of football. If you
Right.
want a guy that likes the outside zone blocking scheme or whatever the case may be, by the way, I'll give you a hint. You have a Kubiak in the building.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of their jam, man, is outside zone blocking. Like that's kind of
Yes.
the thing.
Absolutely.
um, and so, and by the way, as you're well aware, that is a very different lineman than a power blocking offensive lineman. A guy that is
Yes.
mobile and can hold their own in
Yes.
space is a
He always
much
moves forward.
different.
He's never
Yeah,
moved backwards.
yeah. And so,
Here's the thing. Here's my common thought about JPJ is this. When you move a player out of their normal position and they have to play in a position they're not accustomed to, that's what tends to get them hurt.
correct.
So if you notice, that's what happens. There are several videos, I'll send you 10 that I can see, where JPJ is center, goes upfield, smashes the defensive tackle in front of him, rolls back around, smashes the guards guy, and then smashes the other dude as the quarterback's sitting back there trying to figure out how to throw a pass, which was Gina. So I don't see any reason why JPJ is not the center of this team starting this year.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I just don't see it. He goes up, destroys his dude, and then goes and gets other dudes.
Yep.
Especially in the passing game. And the thing is, the center, to be perfectly honest with you, shouldn't be a major contributor in the running game. He really shouldn't. You know, but is like, let's see. Somebody said up there that when Genty got some runs, when JPJ was blocking in front of him, which tells me that we need a freaking big-bodied freaking running back there with Genty to go push some freaking stuff and open some daylight. We back in the day, we had a fullback that opened stuff up for Marcus Allen. Back in the day, we had a dude that would be back there smashing people, you know, to give them a little bit of a crease, you know, and
you don't need to go that far back, by the way.
Yeah, we didn't have
to. If you look at, you had a dude on your team, Osimile.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Who,
as I recall, was a pretty good lineman, actually.
Yeah, he's okay. He was all right.
Well, he certainly had his moments for a little bit, and
John Ritchie was the last one. Napoleon Kaufman, you wouldn't even know his name if John Ritchie didn't exist. Napoleon Kaufman, you wouldn't even know his name. And and Napoleon Kaufman and Genty are fairly similar type of runners. He just had a fullback that all he had to do was just move one dude out the way, and Kaufman was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Genty is not going to be that dude he's your 3rd and 1 guy. He's not that guy. He's the one that's going to bust it. Marcel Reese. Absolutely. Marcel Reese was another one. I mean, it list goes on and on. Alex Engel, you know what I mean? It's just, yeah, you got to have somebody back there with him until the offensive line's able to do it on their own. Single back sets need to be a thing of the past until the offensive line's right. It's just that simple.
Yeah, and the one thing you're gonna require, and this is why I don't think Mayer is gonna go anywhere. I think you're gonna want to try to retain him.
Oh, they'll keep.
Is you're gonna need him to help block on the outside of the lineman, and you're gonna have a guy probably try to go to the outside or between the tight end and the tackle kind of stuff as a run as well. Yep. And I think you're gonna need a dude that's capable of blocking, like a Mayer, for example. To allow the guy to break around the edges and that sort of thing. So, and I think with that outside zone style scheme or the West Coast offense, whatever you want to call it, like potato, really at that point.
One Big E's making
you're going to need it.
Big E's making a point here with the center. There's a lot going around that JPJ doesn't know how to communicate across the line. His communication is kill him, and kill him. That's his communication as a center.
Mm-hmm.
You know, blast them, push them upfield, and it doesn't matter. If you push them upfield, it doesn't matter. Left tackle, Miller. Left guard, JPJ, Linderbaum, center, Rogers. Right tackle, Braden Smith, Josh Jones, Grant, Lomu. I don't think right now Linderbaum is the answer. I really don't. I don't think it's the answer. Because, yes, we got a shit ton of money, but why are we spending on the center when we already drafted them? Is my only thought.
No, I think you need to.
He's not known to be a guard. He's not known to be a guard.
No.
And he sucks at run. He sucks at the run. He gets blasted I mean, come on, man.
Look, if I'm doing anything with you guys, I would go Miller. I would move Tossie to left guard. I would keep JPJ at center. I would get Rogers as your right guard to start with, and then draft someone to come in behind him to potentially take over.
I put Grant at right tackle.
And then I'm going to be honest. You had
Glaze needs to be the right guard.
Well, you had Glaze, for example, on your team, but I felt he struggled a fair amount against better players at the right tackle spot.
He just doesn't need to be a right tackle. He needs to be a right guard.
And then the question then becomes is, do you think you can acquire a right tackle by maybe trading back into the first and the back end and get a real solid one for your team?
Why would you, though? Not this year. Why would you?
No, because you need one.
Yeah, but why would you this year?
Yeah, for starters, if you solidify your offensive line with young offensive line talent, you have JPJ's got another 2 years, I think, and then you got and then you got like the rest of your guys. Like Rogers is a rookie, so he's going to do a second year next year.
Yes,
Rogers. So you got some. Yeah, so you got some years on those guys. So why would you get a right tackle? Because you got guys that can build some chemistry with themselves for 2 or 3 years, making sure you got the right guys in the right spot.
Yeah,
and if they make sense, then you can extend them, right?
And that's a key. What Pete didn't do was allow an offensive line to create chemistry. They changed it over and over again. You can't just rotate an offensive line like that over and over again. You just can't do it.
No.
I mean, yeah, if there's rotation in for a spell to spell somebody because they are freaking dead, that's okay. I get that. But to change it every game, that is just asinine. I don't get the whole process there. That's the very reason Chip Kelly was gone quickly. I'm thinking.
Show me a team that does that, and I'll show you a team that loses a lot of games.
Exactly, 100%.
I'm sorry, it's just a fact. It's got a proven track record in the NFL, and so, and the crazy thing is, there's no way. Pete Carroll has been doing this long enough to know that if you constantly rotate your linemen, like the stats are not on your side. Like they just you are not in the win column at that point.
My fair guess, and look, the nation's gonna hate me. Pete Carroll was brought in for a tank season. Willing to pay him his $15 million to leave after he tanks. I don't know. I mean, was it a conversation? I don't know. But I will tell you what, something I'd like to see is this. If the rumors are true that JPJ doesn't communicate across the offensive line correctly, I would hope that Tom Brady would have some off time with JPJ to say, here's why. Here's the things you need to do that you're not doing. That in college you didn't have to do it. You have to call protections across the line. You know, that kind of stuff. That it's documented that the reason JPJ was not the starting center all year was because he couldn't communicate across the line. But when I watch every video of him as a center, he blows his dude up and then goes over to where the guard's at, blows his dude up, and then looks around to see who else he can blow up. As a center, that's who I want. I mean, what else do you need to do? You don't, unless you have a shitty quarterback that can't call his own freaking protections, like Gino, you know, I mean, for crying out loud, call your own protection. All you got to do is go up and smack your center on the ass and say, I need max protect, you know, and JPJ would be like, Cool. Hike it, back up, put my hands up, and push them forward. You know what I mean? I don't
It
know
depends
how.
on the style, though. So it does depend on the style. So, for example, I remember Gary Kubiak when he was here at the Denver Broncos. He ran that kind of like West Coast kind of offensive shift scheme that Shanahan runs with a few twists and mixes in it. I will tell you that the challenge with that offensive line blocking scheme is if your linemen are not technically sound, as in they whiff on that first push as they're moving over, or if there's a really big, like very big and very strong interior defensive lineman, they can absolutely destroy your offensive game plan because a lot of your scheme and that style depends on that initial movement of the offensive line getting to their blocking assignment on, like, not the first one, but the second one where they actually work on the handoff from one lineman to the other. And my issue with Kubiak is that he couldn't manage the offensive game plan with lesser than offensive line talent. And we really struggled with it through a good portion of that season.
Right. And he needed athletic offensive line.
Yeah.
Because they had to pull all the time. They were pulling all the time. So look, I'm gonna challenge you. Watch videos of JPJ pull as a guard. This dude refuses to not hit anybody in his path. The thing about it isn't necessarily that he cares about where the hole's supposed to be. He just figures if they're on the ground, they can't tackle the running back. Or they can't, you know what I mean? And if we had 5 of those dudes on the offensive line, then we're good. We don't need an offensive line call. We just put everybody on the ground and be done with it. You know, look, it's a foregone conclusion, and all Raider fans in here, you're going to hate me forever on this. We are not going to the playoffs next year. It is not happening unless a freaking absolute apocalypse shit happens to the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs.
Which could very well happen.
Oh, by the way, and they're probably going to get Tyreek Hill back because I just saw that Patrick Mahomes actually restructured his contract to make room for Tyreek. So just saying. I don't know if it was to make room for Tyreek, but definitely to make room. They're going to be there. We are not anywhere near.
Can I answer Matt? He was asking about Zion.
Zion. Yeah.
Oh, that's not that one. Where did it go? So he was a first-round pick. He played this season. He was about average. He played every game, which is a plus, but he hasn't lived up to the first-round draft pick.
Yeah, but he's only been there a year, right?
What's that?
He's only been there a year, right?
No, we drafted him. He's going into free agency. We didn't pick up his 5th-year option. He was a first-round pick. He's our left guard, and they tried to kind of have him play some center in the off season. They really like him. Jim really likes him. The staff really likes him, but if he's trying to get like market or above market, I think it's best to let him walk. Go to another team.
Well, think about this for a minute. There are a lot of dudes in his position that have been drafted where he's been and just got a little bit better over time. And about their 7th, 8th year, you're going to kind of be like, damn it.
True.
Should have kept him. You know, that type of dude. Is he that kind of guy though?
He could be. He's very smart. But we've had guys, it just happens, and it's not necessarily been his fault, but both our tackles went down while they were right next to him. And so with the fan base, we're like, this guy is cursed, and we don't need any more curses on this team. But he could definitely, if they do keep him and decide to run it back with him, it's got to be, I would say, on the cheaper end. But since he's got that first round kind of pedigree, I could see his agent trying to bump it up.
He can, but if he doesn't have the numbers to back it up,
he was definitely, at the end of the season, he was our most solid lineman. And that's another thing, is that he was a TED, which Jim likes to call players there every day. And that holds value with him. So,
sure.
Yeah, especially with the offensive line. So, they might be trying to bring him back. Personally, I'm not a giant fan of his. I like other guards. But, wish him the best if he goes somewhere else. I mean, assuming Matt's asking.
I mean, just to be clear, the Chiefs are in cap hell when they asked Patrick Mahomes to restructure his contract.
Yeah, and I think that freed up $10 million or something.
Yeah, what?
43.
No,
no, $10 million.
I think it went to 10.
$10 million out of the 43.
I don't know. Whatever.
No, all I'm saying is when you restructure your quarterback's contract, that means you're a little bit screwed in the cap.
I was talking to some guys in my chat, one of my chats, and I'm like, I don't understand how California teams, there's 3 teams. I don't know how they attract talent. I mean, you saw the stat, you saw the stuff with the taxes that Sam Darnold had to pay. He ended up having to pay the state of California like $70-something thousand just to play there and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so, I was looking at the jock tax that California, and I'm like, so that's the Niners, and there's no loopholes there. No. Even I thought like living out of state for half of a year is a loophole. It's not. And so I was like, man, this is probably why it seems like they have to pay a lot. And somebody mentioned in one of these comments up here about like quarterbacks and, how much they make a year. I'm like, that's probably what they have to pay to like balance out. I don't know, tax wise or something. It seems like the state is taking 50% of what you make there. Yeah. And unless you play in Florida, Texas, or I think in Vegas, there's only
Vegas, Florida, Texas. Yeah.
They're the only ones. Well, that's why a part of me thinks that Mac, if he does play one more year, maybe he's like, I just want this all I want all my money, and I'll go to Tampa and buy a house and pocket that
retire when I'm done.
Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I know we're getting close to 2 hours, Richie, but can I throw a new caveat in right quick?
Go for it.
So there are quarterbacks that were franchise quarterbacks that are now cast-offs. Tua.
Yeah.
Right? Tua, cast-off. Number 3 quarterback of Miami currently. Okay? Kyler Murray. Gone. What is their... So, if I may take over this piece of it, what is your thoughts, Richie, on these dudes? Where are they going to end up? What are they going to be doing? Tua and Kyler.
Kyler Murray, I think, is going to be one that's going to have the hardest time finding a spot. His problem is that he relied so heavily on his mobility in college and coming into the NFL that he's now getting older and has lost a step, so he doesn't have the same speed and elusiveness that he had. And the dude is so short that he's getting diminishing returns at this point in his career. So it's going to get harder and harder for him to play the game at the NFL level. And so I think that he's going to be the least sought after of them, in my opinion.
Yep.
I think Tua is going to have some interest from some coaches as a top shelf backup and a prove it kind of guy. So as an example, I actually think that like the Chiefs might actually be interested in someone like Tua when he gets cut, for example. And I say that because Mahomes is hurt right now, and he's in a spot where he probably won't be able to start this year because of his injury, based on the nature of it. And so they're going to likely need a dude that can play for the first few games to make sure that Mahomes is able to like ease his way back in and not get himself hurt again. And so they're going to need a legitimate guy that can actually start if need be. And I think that that's why the Chiefs are going to be starting to get real creative to free up a boatload of money. And probably also one of the reasons why they reached out to Mahomes and be like, dude, like we need to be competitive and you're not going to be able to start for us. So we need to work with you on this stuff. And so I think that like someone like the Chiefs will be interested in someone like Tua, who is capable but has struggled. And then again, Andy Reid, with the hubris that he has, will say, well, I can probably get him, clicking.
Aren't
I
the
could probably
Dolphins
figure it out.
flirting with trying to trade him? But I would assume
no.
nobody's taking that
Oh,
because of
no.
that
They're gonna cut
contract.
him out,
So
right?
they're going to have to eat like a huge
Oh, yeah.
contract.
It's a huge cap hit.
Yeah, just massive. I mean, look at what the Dolphins are doing right now. It looked like they just went, we're clean slate. And I think Waddle said, "Take me too." Like, so I would assume Waddle's now their big trade piece, like
Yeah.
for this upcoming season.
Well, before DZ goes on this, I'm going to add one more caveat to this, and I want Richie to hit it right quick before DZ does for all three. Deshaun Watson's probably going to be the starter for the Browns.
Dude.
So, what do you think of that shit?
I don't understand. I don't get the Browns, man. I mean,
That's funny.
No, the thing about it is he's going to be healthy.
Sure.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, you're paying that guy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think of the Browns. That hurts my head thinking about them with
So Richie, what's your thought on that?
I don't know. Let me massage my idea for a minute here and let me figure it out.
Okay. So DZ, I guess it's on you on Kyler Murray and Tua. So what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know, man. They're both interesting, but I just don't see them this day and age with their histories as starters in the league. But then again, I could have said the same about Sam Darnold a few years ago. I could have said the same about some of these quarterbacks that just look god awful. Maybe there's some, it's the right situation. For Tua, I think that's a medical thing with his head and concussions. That's like, hey, dude, like maybe it's time to hang him up and just go back to Hawaii or wherever and just chill. You know what I mean? Like start a camp, invest in some teams out there or something like high school. But for Kyler, I feel like he can still play. But it was obvious Brissett was the better quarterback in Arizona. And for Kyler, it's like, hey, dude, you either want to go to the UFL, CFL, or be a backup somewhere and hope the starting quarterback gets injured and you can shine again. That's the only path forward I see for him.
Right. Gotcha. Here's my thought on both of them. They're both done.
They're both
They're
what?
both done as starting quarterbacks. As starting quarterbacks, they're both done.
Okay. Yeah.
Tua and Kyler Murray are both done as starting quarterbacks.
I mean, for the amount of money that they're making,
Yes.
yeah, it's a like as a business, like I'm not a business owner, but if I was a business owner and I'm like, I'm paying these guys this much money and this is what's happening and this is what all the headache I have to deal with, hearing about this guy is waiting for Call of Duty to come out, or this guy could potentially be a vegetable if he slips on a fucking banana peel. Like, no thanks, dude. Like, I don't want that headache anymore, kind of deal. Like,
I would take Kyler Murray on our special teams at the Raiders and just let him just kick off returner. Let's go. Kick off and punt return. Let's go. That's what I would take Kyler Murray for.
I'd pay to watch.
But it wouldn't be $100 million deal. I promise you that.
No.
No. I mean, I think these two dudes are both, their careers have played out. I think both of them just need to cash their checks and just roll.
I mean, NFL, not for long. So do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think we're going to see them at best as backups, and then, the next notch below that will be straight retirement, perhaps for one or both. But I think we kind of covered off the kind of general kind of three things and all that good stuff for the show. Some interesting moves and stuff are going to be coming up over the next week or so. I'm hoping that by next week's show, we'll have the coaching staff kind of fully flushed out. And I think that that'll be an interesting talking point for all of our teams to have all of the different coaches in place to kind of see what that looks like on a go forward basis.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to kind of see where our teams take things. Next week will not be the March 11th. We have another 2 shows or so until that kind of hits, or 3 shows until that hits.
Please cut some people.
And so, but we're going to start seeing some early cuts from some of the guys, from some of the teams that are like, they will announce that they are doing a March 11th cut sort of deal out of respect for the player. And I think that's a classy move by a lot of teams to kind of making those types of comments publicly. It helps the player out so that other teams know that they're going to be available. And just an interesting time overall in the NFL. This is where you hope to see your team making the right moves to make your team better. Yep. So, until next week.
Richie, I hope to see you guys tomorrow night, Thursday night off the rails.
We shall see. We shall see if I have power. I'm getting a lot of freezing rain, so we'll see if I have power.
Okay. I'd love to see you guys, man. You guys are awesome. Yeah. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's awesome,
absolutely,
bro.
Absolutely.
And everybody,
so, ladies,
this isn't about the Raiders, the Broncos, the Chargers, and the lame ass Chiefs that don't even show up over here in the corner. This is about the AFC West. That's what this is about. Right?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Couldn't have said any better.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we will bid you adieu, and thank you very much for joining the Wild Wild West, where the West Side's the best side. Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute.